Imagine a world where your entire paycheck is yours to keep. No federal income tax deductions. Instead, the government funds its operations through tariffs on imported goods, much like it did before 1913. President Donald Trump has proposed such a shift, but is it feasible? Is the current income tax system even constitutional? What are the potential economic pitfalls, especially considering our nation's substantial debt? Let's navigate this complex issue together. Before 1913, the U.S. federal government relied heavily on tariffs, excise taxes, and import duties for revenue. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, introduced the federal income tax, providing a more stable and flexible revenue stream. Back before 1913, President Lincoln, after the Civil War, implemented an income tax system, but it was found within a few years unconstitutional, and they did away with it. So then, in 1913, that's when the 16th Amendment came about. Tariffs served as the primary funding mechanism, but they also protected domestic industry by making imported goods more expensive. This protectionism had mixed effects, benefiting some industries while disadvantaging consumers in other sectors. The introduction of the federal income tax was not without controversy. Some argue that the 16th Amendment, which grants Congress the power to levy income taxes without apportioning them among the states, was never properly ratified, rendering the income tax unconstitutional. And also, when they first started with the income tax, it was the top 1% that was taxed on income, not everybody. And that's what's changed dramatically, is now everybody that earns income has to pay some type of income tax. Now, your income tax is 30 to 50% of your income. That's a big portion of how much money you take home. Critics point to in the ratification processes, such as changes in wording, spelling, and punctuation in the amendment's text, as approved by various states. They argue that these inconsistencies mean the amendment was not legal. Was not legally ratified. However, the U.S. Supreme Court has consistently upheld the constitutionality of the income tax. In cases, Bruchaber versus Union Pacific Company, 1916, the court affirmed that the 16th Amendment authorizes a direct tax on income without apportionment among the states. President Trump has proposed eliminating federal income taxes, suggesting that tariffs and taxes on foreign nations could replace the revenue. This idea aims to reduce the tax burden on American workers and shift it to foreign entities. The proposal includes establishing an external revenue service to oversee tariff collections, potentially restructuring the American economy by reducing reliance on income taxes. Now, personally, getting rid of accountants and all the loopholes and everything else that basically the rich can take advantage of and the everyday person can't, I'm all for this. I like this idea. Replacing the approximately $2 trillion revenue generated by individual income taxes would require imposing astronomically high tariff rates. Experts argue that it's literally impossible for tariffs to fully replace income taxes, as tariff rates would have to be implausibly high on a relatively small base of imports. Implementing such high tariffs could lead to increased consumer prices, inflation, and potentially retaliation from trade partners, potentially sparking trade wars and disrupting global supply chain. I think we've already had all those things. Additionally, shifting the tax burden from income taxes to tariffs could disproportionately affect low and middle income households. Or would it? As they spend a larger share of their income on imported goods. Well, I think it affects everybody. And it's a use tax, which is even better. As of January 2025, the U.S. national debt has surpassed $36 trillion, with interest costs projected to reach $1 billion in 2025 alone. That number could even get higher. The interest rates keep climbing on that refinanced debt. The federal budget deficit is also on the rise, with projections indicating it will increase from $1.7 trillion in 2026 to $2.5 trillion in 2035. If you add in Doge and you add in the different things that possibly Elon and Trump, by eliminating agencies and the foreign aid and everything else, could this actually work if they actually made the government more efficient? Possibly, I suppose. Given the substantial debt burden, relying solely on tariffs, a less stable and predictable revenue source could exacerbate fiscal challenges and undermine efforts to manage the national debt effectively. Let's think about that. They're not managing the national debt effectively now. Maybe this is exactly what we need. High tariffs could lead to increased production costs for U.S. businesses that rely on imported materials, potentially resulting in higher prices for consumers and reduced competitiveness for American products. products abroad. There's also the risk of retaliatory tariffs from other countries, which could harm U.S. exports and lead to a decline in international trade relationships. Looks like Trump's carry a big stick is actually working out with him pretty well right now. Moreover, the transition from an income tax-based system to a tariff-based system would require significant restructuring of tax collection agencies and enforcement mechanisms, posing administrative challenges. Now, personally, getting rid of CPAs, getting rid of the IRS, getting rid of all those agents, think that's a fantastic idea. It would save all of us a lot of money, eliminate the loopholes, and just create a system where it's a use-based system. The more you purchase, the more you use, you pay more. It's almost like a flat tax idea, a percentage. While the idea of eliminating income tax and replacing it with tariffs may seem appealing, especially in terms of reducing the tax burden on individuals, the economic realities present significant challenges. The potential for increased consumer prices, economic instability, exacerbation of the national debt are critical considerations that must be carefully evaluated. As we navigate this complex issue, it's essential to balance the desire for tax reform with the practical implications for the economy and the nation's fiscal health. We're not fiscally healthy as it is. So, I don't know. I say let's just try it. What are your thoughts on replacing income tax? What are your thoughts on replacing income tax with tariffs? Do you believe it's a viable solution, or do the potential pitfalls outweigh the benefits? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analysis on economic policies and their impact on the financial well-being.